our son that he's going to be talked about extensively today because most of the bad stuff he went through, but that's the family. So now we've told you everything not to do. Bye. No, we should spend some time talking about what to do and how to fix all this. So we're going to talk about ways to facilitate communication. This is our first experience with PowerPoint as presenters. I don't know what this is from a template that's supposed to look like old paper. I don't know if that's doo-doo or a dog print or something. But it's not my fault, okay? I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's very distracting. No clue what it is. It's part of the template. Yeah, use your head. It's a Rorschach. They are psychologists. We're going to see what here's something we've learned. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Kids are not adults. Brilliant, right? It took us time to figure this out. They're not like sophisticated miniature adults. So we talked about one-to-one time last night, but I want to refine that a little bit. In our office, we're child psychologists, but I don't bring them into my office and there's a couch, and I sit back with my clipboard and I say, so let's process your feelings about how your parent, and they sit there on their little couch. Well, 8 months ago when I was 6, it doesn't work that way. They're not adults. They don't have the vocabulary. They can't talk about their feelings because they don't have words to pair with, and they don't always know what they're feeling anyway. So you have to draw it out to this one-to-one time. Now, really important that your one-to-one time isn't stuff that you like to do. Dads are bad about this. They see it as a secret way to go fishing, get some fishing. I think I'll throw the kid in with me, and then I look like a great dad, and the kid might hate fishing. It can't be stuff you like to do unless, by coincidence, it's something your son or daughter likes to do too. You have to endure sometimes stuff that you have no interest in. In the office, Mary alluded to this yesterday, we've got offices for ourselves, and then we have a playroom, a therapy room for kids. So you go in this therapy room, and it's stacked floor to ceiling with games. We've got beanbag chairs, we've got stuff to draw and paint with. It's like, it's a great room. It's overstimulating for us. We had a decorator decorate it, and I said, make it a really good therapy room for kids. So it's got like everything. There's fish on the wall, and there's, it's really overstimulating for us, but kids really love it. So usually we say, we pick games that are easy to talk during, It's like, they're kind of like no-brain games for us, so we can talk while we're doing it. So we usually go in and say, pick a game, and we're going to talk while we're playing. Now, Mary said we play 8,000 hands of Uno per day. Uno's okay because really you can disengage your mind as an adult, and it's pretty relaxing for me. But when the kids go to the game shelf, I pray, please don't pick Candyland. Please don't pick Candyland. Please don't pick Candyland. And then they're like, oh, let's play Candyland. For some reason, Candyland has appeal even to teenagers. I don't understand it. I don't get it. You know anything about Candyland? You ever seen it? It's this weird, cracked out land, and all the characters are pieces of candy, and your goal is to get to this candy village, which is very unhealthy. I don't want you going there it's paved with Skittles and stuff like that. So the whole premise of the game bothers me. But one day, I had played this thing 18 times that day and was almost psychotic myself with playing it. If you know anything about Candyland, there's this character called Mr. Mint. You know what I'm talking? He's a guy, he's made of peppermint, all right? And he's in a forest of trees made of peppermint, and he's chopping them down. So I'm so bored with this game I could cry and stick a fork in my eye. And I catch myself staring at Mr. Mint, and I'm thinking, his axe head is made out of mint. So he's chopping down mint trees with an axe. Don't they understand that if you use an axe of the same density of the material and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I've crossed the line. I'm now insane from Candyland. Then You know, we've been in practice so long, we've been through 3 editions of Candyland. Milton Bradley has revised it 3 times. This latest one, we open it up, and I'm looking at the board, and I'm thinking, I'm having a Queen Frostine. It's now just Frostine. I'm like, what's up with that? And who's the other one? Oh, Princess Lolly. Is now just Lolly. And I'm like, what happened here? Has there been a coup? Did they overthrow King Candy or something? Did they do away with the despotic system of you know? So believe it or not, I wrote Milton Bradley. I wrote Milton Bradley. And I said, listen, I'm a child psychologist. I use this game a lot. I'm just curious. What happened in Candyland? Was there a war? And they explained that they felt like kids could not relate to a queen, no, it was Princess Lolly they took away. They said they couldn't relate to a princess. They felt like little girls couldn't, maybe it was the queen. I was right the first time. They took away the queen because kids couldn't relate to a queen. But they promoted Princess Lolly, or made Frostine a princess because they could understand princess. And Frostine is the prettier of the 2, so they made her a princess. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Right, I'm good with this now. I'm good with this again. The point is, I played so much Candyland that I could scream. Or guess who? Guess who's another one? That seems to allude, forgive me for diverting, I won't take too long. Guess who is really a simple game, but for some reason, kids don't get it. Kids don't get it. So every time I explain it, every time we play it, I have to explain it in infinite patient detail. So it helps me learn how to be patient, explaining for the 80th time to the same kid, no, you close the doors on people with glasses and with white hair. It just, anyway, the point is, you have to endure some things that you don't like. You know, in our family, Robbie and I have very similar interests. We love cartoons. We love edgy cartoons. We did taekwondo together for many years. We have very similar interests. So it was always easy for me to relate to Robbie. And Emily, our youngest, because she's a wild girl. She loves to fish. She loves to do all kinds of things. It was Amanda, the eldest, the princess, you know? We really had nothing particularly in common, so I listened to hours about, when she was little, about princesses and ballet. You know, she did ballet with Mary. And, you know, I endured it and forced myself to learn about it because it's not going to help communication if she's with me and we're talking about motorcycles, you know, or Star Trek. So you have to learn things that are interesting to your kids, and that's going to be more conducive to communication. In the office, I firmly believe this. You know why kids talk to us so easily? For 1 hour, a kid comes into my office, and he has the full, undivided, paid-for attention of an adult for 1 hour whose only mission is to listen to that kid and talk to that kid and help that kid solve problems. What's beauty to me, and one of the reasons I love my job is that some of the kids we've been seeing, we start with them when they're little, like 5, and see them all the way, some of them until they're adults. Some of them we're seeing their kids now. So I'm thinking, wow, you did a great job. We're seeing their kids. You know? But I love building a relationship, a long-term relationship with a patient, and they love coming to see me. And even though sometimes I have no wisdom to share with them, just the fact that they've got 1 hour with someone who's not critical, who's not going to come down on them, not going to I tell them you can say anything, I don't care, you're not my kid. Oh, I just murdered someone in kindergarten, whatever. I mean, I don't have to deal with it. But because of that, kids love coming to the office. They feel safe. They feel like they're listened to. So if we're not effective in any other way, I feel good about that with my child. And your kids will feel that way too. All kids will open up if you arrange some time to do something they enjoy. Now let's talk about one super, super, ultra important thing you can do to facilitate communication, and then dinner time. There is some research that came out on the benefits of eating as a family meals together, usually dinner. If you do it a few times a week, just a few times a week, doesn't have to be every week, because you got soccer practice and Boy Scouts and all that stuff, but at least a few times a week. They did this study. It actually results in higher grades in school, lower rates of drug and alcohol abuse, and less likelihood of engaging in early sexual experiences. All that from eating dinner together? Yes. And this is just the act of sitting down as a family, face to face for a meal, deters all those things. It's incredible. And this was a multivariate study. That means they looked at every possible factor that might correspond with this phenomena of higher grades, lower premarital sex, lower drug and alcohol use. In other words, they looked at socioeconomic status, they looked at race, they looked at the region of the country you were in, they looked at parenting styles, everything. Of all those things, the single factor that made the biggest impact was having meal times together. We're like reading this and are you sure? Is there an end to it? But that's what the research says. So just having a meal time together. Now, when we talk about special needs kids and ADHD, we'll talk about how you have to take a nail and hammer their clothes into the seat. But just having meal times together does all that. It's awesome. And as Mary said, making opportunity out of brief times that you have just coincidentally, rides to school, or, most dads love to throw their kids in the car if they're going to, if you're going to Lowe's or Home Depot to get something, it's a quick, the 10 seconds you spend in the car. It's just fun. It's just time together. Mary talked about our Waffle House times on Friday morning, which the kids were like, that became this, God, who's going to Waffle House this Friday? I mean, it became like this thing. And sometimes we wouldn't talk about anything in particular. We just sit there and eat, or talk about something inconsequential. But these are so valuable to kids. These little, it doesn't have to be a therapy session. You can just be riding in the car together to go do something. It's so important. Right before bedtime, kids, for some reason, they're tired, their guard is down. This before bedtime thing is when, like Mary said yesterday, it seemed to be Robbie's thing, just when you're tired, you go to bed, and he says, I've had this revelation about, politics or something. I'm like, oh, wait, okay, what? So, right before bed, Emily and I, when Emily was maybe about 12, we bought her a dog. She always wanted a dog. She has since grown and is out of the house. We still have the dog. But anyway, we would walk the dog together. Just walk the dog together and talk while we were walking the dog. Sometimes we talk about the dog or the neighborhood or something. It doesn't